Welcome to Speakernomics, the official podcast of the National Speakers Association. I'm Kenneth, Kinney, but friends call me Shark, and like you, I'm a professional speaker, and I love listening to Speakernomics. Speakernomics is a professional speaker show that will help you thrive and grow a speaking business so you too can change the world one keynote session, workshop, and speech at a time. And on this episode, we're going to do something a little different. We're not just going to hear from one speaking expert or even two, but from many. We'll be doing a series of shows where we take a look through the lens of quite a few really smart people who view the speaking game differently, and then we'll draw a red thread through it, if you will, through that story. Now, to all my speaking friends, what makes a great demo reel? This is something I love to study, and I'm certain that if you're also a student in the sport that we call a career in professional speaking, then you love to study it as well. You're often working on or thinking about this important piece of collateral that can help your business and inform others via video about what you can do on and off the stage. Yet when creating that demo reel, many speakers too often rely on just what others are doing. We often go only to our speaker friends and get their advice on how the finished product looks. Makes sense, except that I'm fascinated at looking at problems and solutions from many perspectives, especially the ones of those who do something different, stand out in the speaking game as speakers, coaches, agents, video production experts, and most importantly, the meeting planners and bureaus who choose and hire us to make their events successful. Whatever the outcome, hopefully some of the advice will help you take a new look at your own reel and see if this helps answer some of the questions that come up for you. So let me tell you then whose expertise we're showcasing today. And don't forget, if you're not following their voices on the audio version, then make sure to check out NSA's YouTube channel to watch the video show there. In order of appearance, you will hear 2024-25 NSA Board Chair, the Hall of Fame speaker, and certified speaking professional Meredith Elliott-Powell, the brilliant speaking coach and author of Book More Business, Make Money Speaking, Lois Kramer, a bureau expert, Tim Matthey, from Speakers Bureau, Speak Inc., the motivational media founder and speaker video expert, Matt Bauer, the fantastic speaker, Robert Kinney III, a CSP and former host of Speakernomics, speaker agent phenom, Michelle Joyce of the speaker management company, Michelle Joyce Speakers, the amazing speaker, Sylvie DeGiusto, a CSP and global speaking fellow, Deja Urbanovich, the superstar founder behind bureau and event services company, Speechless, Emmy Award-winning keynote speaker and certified speaking professional, Clint Pulver, the expert president and co-owner of Executive Speakers Bureau, Richard Shelp, the awesome certified meeting professional and senior manager of meetings and events for Destination South, Shannon Jones, the founder of the Speaker Lab and author of The Successful Speaker, Brant Baldwin, the wise one, James Bockham of Red Propeller Speakers Bureau. And what better way to close this out than hearing from Chris West, the owner and founder of speaker video and brand building company, Video Narrative. And before we jump in, make sure to go to Speakernomics.com. That's where you can find the tips, insights, and knowledge to help you become a better speaker, build a better business, and get paid to speak. So wake the kids and phone the neighbors, grab some popcorn, and let's go to the movies. Speaker movies anyway, and hear from some great experts first, and then I'll see you on the other side of their insights. First, let's hear from, in order, Meredith Elliott-Powell, Lois Kramer, Tim Matthey, and then Matt Bauer. From your point of view, Meredith, what is it that makes a great demo reel? What's the kind of reel that we need today to help things really sizzle, if you will?
Yeah, so I can tell you what I like and what I watch. I mean, number one, I look for the energy of it. I want it to be upbeat. I want to see the speaker on stage. I want to be able to, when I finish that video, understand what it is that they talk about. And if I hired them, what it is that I would get. And then I need them to be a mix of three things. I need them to have this incredible energy on the stage, like they're influential, they're engaging. I need them to be a little bit funny, and I need them to position themselves as an expert. I want to know that I'm putting somebody smart and confident on the stage who's got a message that is going to make my difference for the audience. So if you can pack that into a demo reel with a couple of testimonials, I'd be a happy girl. I think that's a good demo.
All right, Lois, there are so many people that have great videos out there, but from your point of view, what is it that makes a great demo or speaker sizzle reel?
The first thing I would say is never call it a sizzle reel. That's a show business term. And for corporations and associations, business people, they're looking for high content. They're looking for a speaker reel. So I would call it a speaker preview video or speaker reel. I think they're incredibly important. It's all about the video now, Shark. It gives people the confidence to hire us, and they know that we have the ability to capture an audience well. For a speaker reel, I think it's important to right off the bat put everything that follows in the reel in context. And that's why I suggest to my clients that they open a preview video with their positioning statement. It sets everything, the concept and outcome of working with them. It sets everything, all the other points, comments, stories that follow in the reel. It puts them in the context of how I position myself in the industry. So you may want to do this yourself. There are great editing programs. We also have people who are specialists in this. And I say, wherever you are in your business, you need to have a good speaker reel, whether you're doing it yourself. There are so many ways we can look, so many options to find great speaker reels, and look at what's working for them. Look at some of the people who are doing really well. How are they promoting themselves? What do their reels show? You don't have to spend a fortune for a speaker reel, but if you want to be on a main platform in a ballroom, I need to see you doing that in a speaker reel, not just in a room at a Holiday Inn with 20 people in the room. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you want to position yourself for the work that you want to get. So I think that you want to make sure that you are really smart when creating this. Never, ever close a speaker reel without a call to action at the end. So I'm opening by positioning everything that follows in the context of the concept and outcome of working with me. And I want to end with a call to action. And this can be very simple. When I spoke on sales, my speaker reel, the call to action was simply this. If you like what you see, I'd love to talk with you about how I can help you fast forward your selling skills. That was it. But it was an invitation to connect. And I think that that's important. You know, Shark, we always say, tell people what you want them to do. Tell people what you want them to do after you've looked at your speaker reel. Remember that I want you to remember something that bureaus have told me over the years. When they look at a speaker reel, and when you think of how many speaker reels they have to look at, I think this is very instructive. If they don't see you speaking on a platform within the first 10 seconds of the video, they move on to the next person. And too many times we open a video. I've seen videos where people are a talking head for too long, where they're showing an interview or they're showing them on a TV show. These are all great. But remember what people are hiring you for. They're hiring you to be on their platform. They want to see you on a platform giving some content. So those are just some tips, but look at what's working for some of our most successful friends and colleagues. That's a good place to start.
Well, especially when you think of so many speaker reels, it goes back to that positioning statement. You've got to define early because they don't know. You've got to define, I work with X in order to Y so they can Z.
Exactly. Shark, I have to tell you this cautionary tale, if I may. I worked with a speaker whose name I'm not going to use for obvious reasons, who did a program with me. I flew out to his office to work with him and his staff, and he sent me his speaker reel to look at before I went out. And I looked at it, and it was the production value unbelievable. And he said to me in the car on the way to the hotel where I was going to stay, I hope you like my speaker reel. I spent $20,000 on it. By the way, this was about 8 or 9 years ago. And I looked like this when he said it. And I knew if there was an ejection button in that car, I would have been on the side of the highway. Here's the only problem I had with it. I loved the content, the production value, incredible, but it was a bunch of disconnected stories. Mm-hmm. He went back in studio, paid $100 to the person who made the video, $100 to redo the opening and give his positioning statement. Suddenly, everything that followed was in the context of the outcomes that he delivered. And it was a whole different experience just by positioning it prior to showing off his terrific talent. So I think that's really an important beginning.
Great question. And I looked at more reels than you can imagine. To me, it's almost like a movie. There's no set formula. You just know a good movie when you see it, right? I wish I had a great formula. Again, I hate to use the word authentic again, but be authentically you. I mean, if you're a humorist, you probably want some humor in there. If you're an economist, probably want to see some numbers and some data. I just think you got to make it connect with you. I think meeting planners can see through the fluff and really see if this is really what you're putting out there. You know, if you want some data points, I don't want it more than 5 or 10 minutes. I want short clips, different audiences if I can have them, maybe some streaming stuff on the bottom with different, you know, clients you worked with, maybe some test video testimonials. I want, if you really want to get into it, is if you're saying a joke, I want to see that the audience is laughing, not just go to the audience. And if they're not laughing, that's a miss. And I think meeting planners can see that too. But I just think being authentically you on that demo is the key. And I know they're hard to make. I know the material's hard to get sometimes, but if you really want to go after it, do it right and make it you. And I think the other part is get people to check that video ahead of time, and don't make it your 5 best friends who are your, you know, yes people. You know, make it people who are going to give you fair and honest responses, be it other colleagues, maybe some meeting planners, maybe some bureau people can reach out. I get asked a lot to look at videos sometimes after they're done, and it's like, that's probably too late. I'm happy to check them ahead of time because I want to give that honest feedback to hopefully make more business for both of us.
What do you think the right length is to you to be able to look through and be interested all the way through? I mean, obviously it's got to be good, but you know, there's a group of folks that want to do to the 2 to 4 minute mark, and then there's ones that want to do, you know, 4, 5, 6 minutes and so on.
I think 5 minutes is fair. I mean, look, be honest, if a meeting professional is almost, you put your best material forward. That first 30 seconds needs to be your best stuff, because they're going to look on, off, move on. I mean, some look at a ton of different materials. So if they want to look longer, they'll take 5 minutes. And sometimes they'll call in, if they even have more of an interest, they'll call me and go, can I see a full length or something longer? And we'll get that to them. But to me, 5 minutes is plenty. But with that said, make that their first 30 seconds the best you have. You know, you don't get a second chance at that first impression.
Well, that's obviously down to, not obviously, but it's down to what the goal is. A great demo reel can be great for any number of reasons. It can be entertaining. It could be relatable. It could be, you know, lots of smoke and mirrors type stuff, you know, just kind of eye candy sort of stuff. Like, great is in the eye of the beholder, but what is the goal in you know, what does the greatness yield? And I think in my particular case, what goes into my demo reels is heart, and authenticity, and just realness and relatability. I think when there is an emotional connection or relatability in whatever you're watching, you're sold just by watching it, because just by continuing to watch it, because it hits something on the personal side. You can't get anywhere with anybody, can't change anything about them unless they accept you on the personal side, and let their guard down and know, like, and trust you. And so as long as those elements are in a sizzle reel, demo reel, I think that's what makes it great.
Next, let's hear from, in order, Robert Kinney III, Michelle Joyce, Sylvie DeGiusto, and Deja Urbanovich.
Wow. Well, I'm not a meeting planner, so I don't know all of the things that they're looking for, but I'll tell you what grabs my attention. First of all, I like music. I'm a musician by trade, so I like the music that is appropriate and energetic underneath the different clips. I've seen some clips or some demo reels where it's just one speech and it's a long segment. For demo reels, I prefer shorter clips. You know, maybe you have 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the number is, but your best stuff, 30 seconds of your best stuff, pop it in there, maybe have a couple of different angles, the right music underneath that, get it produced properly as well. You don't always have to hire the best videographer, but there are AI tools, there's software that you can put your clips in, and it can mix it up and match it and do some of the effects for you. And that'll serve you until you can hire a great editor to make it pop. But the music, the atmosphere, the clips, the energy, for me, that really makes a fantastic demo reel.
I think there is a trend right now with meeting planners where they are looking for longer, meatier clips of content. There are a few exceptions to the rule, right? Some very well-known speakers have the flashy sizzle that presents like a movie trailer, and that's okay because it's on brand for them, right? So like the average worker speaker, like you talked about earlier, that's not going to really work for them. But I think gone are the days of those short, flashy sizzle reels. Meeting planners, as I mentioned earlier, cannot get on a plane to preview all these speakers. They are relying on the video footage from past events, audience interactions, clips of content that resonate with their audience. Pardon me. They want to see, what is the content you're going to deliver? How does that land? What are the lessons? How did you customize it for the audience you're in front of? So I encourage speakers to have those longer clips. Like let it get a laugh, but then let me see what happens right after it. Let me see the full picture of what you're delivering. And then, listen, something that's put together really well is going to go a long way with nice transitions and maybe some testimonials and some graphics. Like, I think at the end of the day, though, if a new or emerging speaker was asking me what to look for, I just want to see the proof that you are who you say you are on stage.
Well, and longer is a relative term, because a lot of times this is not like putting out 10 or 15-minute clip. It could be 10 seconds to 30 seconds just there that isn't clip, cut up 87 different ways, and you see them for 2 seconds.
Right. Yeah. It's like, you don't want all those cherry-picked one-liners that are super pretty and awesome. You want to get real. You want to be authentic. You want to show people, like, this is what I really do on stage. This is the story. This is the lesson. And this was the reaction that the audience got.
I use a framework for every single of my demo reels, and I have to admit I have stolen it somewhere, and I wish I could now mention the name of the person I have learned it from, but I don't remember. So whoever taught me this, thank you very much. It was probably somebody from NSA, but it follows the concept of hook me, show me, prove me, sell me. Meaning, hook me right at the beginning with something incredible where I cannot stop watching. Then show me more detailed what you are actually delivering on stage, the content, your stage presence, and everything around it. Then prove me with testimonials, with feedbacks, with client logos that you're really doing what you're saying to do it, and then give me a reason to buy you, then sell to me, and I'm in.
All right, Deja, from your point of view, what is it that makes a great demo reel to help people get the gig?
Shark, I bet if you ask 100 people this question, you get 100 different answers. Because, I mean, it is so circumstantial, it's unbelievable. However, I will say, in my mind, as a bureau, when I'm looking to hire a speaker, especially a speaker I don't know yet, there's some table stakes, or what makes a great reel right off the bat is the quality of the audio. You are a speaker. I'm hiring a speaker. I'm not hiring a writer. And so, no, it doesn't matter how great your website is or what is written about you or how you write your program descriptions. I want to see you. I want to see you speak, because that is what I'm hiring you for. And if I can't hear you speak, we're dead in the water. So clear audio is the most important thing when it comes to a great speaker reel. Now, that's not so helpful. That's just like one check mark. But what makes it actually great is that I can discern right away if you're a great speaker for this audience. And how do I do that? Well, I think you've probably heard this a million times on any type of YouTube or marketing material, that people make up their mind within the first 15 to 30 seconds. So with that in mind, you need to have some sort of compelling opening, or what Mickey Williams, a Hall of Fame NSA speaker, will say, start with a wow. And what that is for you can be totally different than what it is for me or what it is for Rachel, the hypothetical Rachel speaker. But whatever it is, it has to have some sort of compelling opening. So what I really like is when the speaker talks about what's in it for them, meaning the audience. Because if we can figure that out in the first 15 to 30 seconds, you're already proving the intrinsic value of you or of your program. A lot of the times speakers make the mistake of talking about themselves. Even the intro. Hi, I'm Deja, and I speak on blah, blah, blah. I honestly don't care about that in the first 15 seconds. I want you to get up there, get in my face, and tell me why I need you. Not because of your resume. I can read that. So a great speaker reel has great audio. And in the first 15 to 30 seconds, it's a compelling opening that tells me the value, or the audience, the value that they're going to get out of you as the speaker. And then after that, I mean, in terms of great reels, it really just varies. Some people will say it should be 2 minutes. Some people like 90 seconds. I mean, honestly, for me, it doesn't really matter because it's just about those first 15 to 30 seconds. I also love when a speaker has multiple clips of them speaking, especially if the audience, and I can see the audience reaction, because there's a lot that you can see that you don't hear between the connection of the audience and the speaker. So being able to see an audience with a speaker, I think, is really powerful. It's a nice to have, not a need to have. The need to haves are just those first two things I was talking about: that quality of the audio and that compelling opening. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, what about when people do the monologues now? You start seeing a lot of people where they'll do a lot of stuff on stage, and then you see sort of them tilted at about a 30-degree angle, talking off to the side about what it is they do, enjoy,
Yes.
talk about, etc.
Yeah, the monologue or the interview.
The sort of looks like an interview.
Yes, the interview. So this was actually very trendy, I will say, in the beginning, not in the beginning, 10 years ago, when we were really starting to develop a trend for speaker reels. And so the interview was, wow, this really high production type of video. And I think what we're seeing, not just with like speaker reel content, but preferences of trends and preferences for consuming content, is we want authentic and genuine content. We're starting to see, I think, a flow towards that, because I have seen terrible speakers that have a very high production, high quality, rehearsed, beautifully edited, like a movie speaker reel, and they're a terrible speaker. I mean, I'm shocked what you can do. I mean, it's the silver screen, right? You can edit it. So somebody like me who has booked thousands of speakers, I don't need any of that high production. I need to see authentically what the speaker is like. So this is a very long way to get to how do I feel about that interview. It's fine if I am judging this individual for a panel or for a workshop. But if I want them on stage as a keynote, I just need to see them keynoting to discern if it's an appropriate fit for this audience. I will say it doesn't hurt you, Shark, to have that. Another piece that we didn't talk about, Shark, is testimonials. So this concept of social proof. And I'm not against testimonials in a speaker reel. I think that it can help if the content of the testimonials serves the message. It's not helpful when someone says, Shark was amazing. Great. I mean, I can figure that out, right? Shark saved my marriage. Okay, I'm listening. So testimonials, I think as long as the content is there and it serves the message, it adds to it, meaning that it creates either some sort of emotional response or data that otherwise couldn't be communicated with the clips, or with the sidebar interview monologue.
Now's the time to hear from Clint Pulver, Richard Shelp, and Shannon Jones. From your point of view, what makes a great demo reel? I've seen many reels, and yours is different than a lot of people.
I think, in my own personal opinion, the shock and awe factor of leaving them wanting more, letting them just see the experience, letting them see the end result, taking them on a ride through that demo video experience has been key for us. I kind of take the approach of P.T. Barnum. He was the circus genius, marketing genius. And when the show would come into town, they would promote and put up these posters of all of the things that were just the things that you couldn't not see. A man surrounded by 500 tigers and the 7 wonders from the 7 lands, and it was like, oh my gosh, like I cannot not go to this show. Like, it just looks incredible. And in our marketing approach and in our video work, that is what we have tried to create, is that P.T. Barnum effect of just, it looks incredible, and I've got to buy a ticket. I've got to bring him in. I have to get on a phone call with him to learn more. I don't give the audience, I don't give the event planner, I don't give the client the opportunity to judge my presentation, my performance based off of me speaking in a demo video. I show them the overall experience, and then let's jump on a call and let's talk about the specifics and the needs for your audience, your attendees. And I think that's worked extremely well for us.
For a bureau, what is it that makes a great demo reel that you can sell to clients that helps people get booked for gigs?
That question is so important. And one of the reasons why it's so important is so many people get it wrong. And that is really, that's why that question is huge. First of all, before I even dig into 3 key areas, there's one overriding key area that people make the mistake on. Do not have the video be too long. If your video is 6 minutes, it's too long. If your video is 5.5 minutes, it's too long. As a matter of fact, I just had somebody that they were so proud of their video, they sent it to me, and it had some great inspirational things, and there was all kinds of stuff in it, and it was 5 minutes and 57 seconds. And I told them, I said, if you don't get this thing down to 3 minutes and 20 seconds, nobody's going to watch it. So that is item number 1. Item number 2 is you really need to make sure that the video communicates what you speak on. Mm-hmm. It's a very simple aspect, but somebody, when they watch the 3 minutes, they need to come away with going, this person is an innovation speaker who has a great background and can change what you guys are doing within your organization. Okay, that needs to be communicated in there some way. I got a video from somebody who is actually had some recognition factor. He was on America's Got Talent. And what was interesting is his video was nice. You could tell he was a good speaker. You could tell that he was on America's Got Talent. Oh, that's all good stuff. But when I finished the video, I had no idea what he spoke about. So that's item number 2, and that is key. The third one is you've got to make sure that your video is fast moving. You don't want long clips. You don't want long testimonials from somebody. You want to go a quick little B-roll view, speaking on something real quick, back up on stage, something from a narrator, boom, 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 boom. Main reason is these people who are watching it, they're busy people. If they're going to spend 3 minutes and 20 seconds watching your video, they got to be focused in on it every second as they're watching it. And that's the way you keep them focused. This day and time with short attention spans, you need fast-moving things. That's the way our life is. So make sure your video reflects it. That's the third thing. And really, the fourth and last thing is you've really got to show your style in your demo video. Your speaking style's got to come across. If you're a high-energy person, make sure that comes across. If you're humorous in what you're delivering, make sure that is. If you're more of an interactive type speaker, make sure that shows up in your video. Now, the other aspect of that along with it is engagement. You need to make sure that the audience that's watching the video sees how well you engage with the attendees in the audience. A lot of times people make the mistake of having in their video small audiences, disjointed audiences. It doesn't really communicate that energy that comes when you and the audience are together on something. And when you see, we get a lot of people that get picked just because they've done a great presentation in which the audience is totally engaged in what they're saying.
I think it's a great point, especially about it's sort of talking about it almost like it's a movie, because when you watch a movie preview, which is, generally about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes, by the end of the clip, you need to know if it's an action movie, if it's drama, suspense, a horror movie. There are a lot of videos out there, though, that you don't know. It's just saying it's a movie, but you have no idea what it is. And I think, but a lot of speakers also think that sometimes they need longer videos because they think you want to see them speaking more and more and more. What would you say about that?
And that's a great point, because you need to have that. You need to have that as an offshoot. You need that as an option. Maybe you have a 30-minute where it shows what you're really like throughout a good portion of a presentation. And you may even want an intermediate type of video where it has longer clips and it's totally focused on content. Maybe that's only 10, 12 minutes. But your sizzle reel, the thing that's going to get people's attention, the thing that most of the people are going to watch, that needs to be no more than about 3 to 3.5 minutes, honestly.
One last follow-up to that is a lot of people have incorporated over time this sort of monologue conversation where you see some sessions of them up on stage, but maybe they're sitting in an office space like you are now, and they're telling a minute about themselves. What, as a bureau, do you think that helps or hurts people?
I think if it's spent too long,
sure,
in that aspect where there's too much of that, it certainly hurts. I think it takes away from the overall energy that is in a video. It kind of slows everything down when you bring to it. So that is hurtful in that type of video. If that's all they're showing, okay, in a 10 to 12 minute video, say it's the 10 to 12 minute option where it's not the sizzle reel, but it's content. They need to see the content when you're delivering it in front of an audience, not talking to them in an office. But if it's a short clip, real quick, you sitting there making a comment about boom, and then you go to something else that's in B-roll, and maybe you're talking and there's B-roll showing and they're just hearing your voice. Something like that can work. It's just you got to be very careful with what you described.
I think the quickness, I hate to say that because there's so much for everybody to advertise, but very few videos are so captivating that you will watch for a long period of time. And that's just the nature of today. You want to watch something and get a feel for it quickly, or you're swiping up or swiping over and moving on to the next thing. So I think starting off with what is important and relevant, and really just having some like pizzazz to it is key. And I think having, if you're putting it on your website, you can't understand exactly the audience that you're targeting. But if you are emailing it to somebody or showing it to somebody in person, having a few different videos that really can speak to the audience and what your client is exactly looking for. Because if I'm looking for something and you send me a video that's not at all relevant to what we've talked about that my needs are, I will write that off immediately because you didn't listen to me. And we didn't have, it feels like you didn't listen and we didn't have a relevant conversation. So those are my feelings on the reels. But I do think definitely a video that is quick, to the point, and really gives me an understanding of what my audience is going to experience when you step on stage in front of them.
You said pizzazz, and I want to tap into that real quick. And I know you obviously know a ton of meeting planners as well, but it's always a matter of personal taste. But define just a simple example of what pizzazz might be to you? Because I think a lot of people may think theirs is pizzazzable. I like that new word.
Yeah,
pizzazzable.
Yeah, I think there is a place and an audience for every single person, right? There's and there's different scenarios. Some of the topics have to be really content and education heavy because the goal is to teach accounting or pharma or something along those lines that are maybe not the most exciting topics to sit there and take in, but they're necessary. But I think pizzazz is somebody who goes on stage and you can feel their presence. You can look around the room and everybody's heads are not buried in their phones or buried in their laptops. They're sitting up straight, their eyes wide open, they're paying attention. Somebody that is working with the audience and not standing in one place on the stage from a lectern, speaking like this and not really having any inflection in their voice, and really just engaging with the audience. Somebody that you walk on stage and you just know they're passionate about what's about to come out of their mouth, and you want to listen to what's about to come out of their mouth. It's a person that doesn't really need to convince you that you should listen. You just kind of know by their presence and their excitement to be on that stage in front of your audience.
Now let's close this out with Grant Baldwin, James Bockham, and Chris West.
All right, so here's a couple tips as it relates to making your demo video sizzle. One is to make sure that you are showing yourself actually speaking. One thing I see a lot today is a lot of speakers that are kind of showing this B-reel and kind of behind the scenes, or they're prepping, or they're walking up on stage, or they're interacting with the audience, and all that's good. But at the end of the day, the event planner is like, yeah, but like, what are you like on stage? I want to see that. And so make sure you're using a lot of footage of you actually speaking. Another thing that's nice to do is to ideally show you speaking in multiple different environments. Now that could be like, you're speaking in a setting, and then, you're changing clothes and speaking in a similar room just down the hall, but it just kind of shows like, hey, you've done this more than once. And so that gives speakers or event planners some more confidence. Another thing I would recommend is to update your demo video regularly. And so, there's a shelf life to demo videos. And as we speak over time, you start to get better footage, bigger audiences, better venues, your content becomes crisper, your overall ability becomes better. And so make sure that you don't say, hey, this is my one video that I'm ever going to have. Like, no, that's version 1.0, but have the perspective of, I want to be updating this pretty regularly as I get more and more and better content. And the third thing I'd say is to keep your video short. The reality is again, attention spans for not just event planners, decision makers, but just humans in general is really, really limited. So the same thing is like if a friend or your grandma sends you a video, you got to check out this YouTube video. The first thing we all do is you go look in the lower left corner and see how long it is. And if it's anything more than a couple minutes, like grandma sent you this 17-minute video, you're like, grandma, what, are you mad at me? Like, what? There's no chance I'm going to watch this. And so you want to keep your videos short. Like think of it like a movie trailer, like 2-3 minutes, just enough to give the decision maker something to go off of. They don't even need that full 2 or 3 minutes, because oftentimes, just like you're going to watch 30 seconds of it and have a pretty good idea of, do I want to go down this rabbit hole more? Now, if they're looking for more, you may have like a 8, 9, 10-minute version, but don't lead with that. Lead with just, again, a couple of minutes there, enough to kind of whet the appetite, give them something. But again, like the goal of a demo video and the goal of a movie trailer is to make people want to see more.
A good demo reel, in my opinion, is one where a speaker is very interactive. I know some speakers' presentation style is that they just want to just stand there and talk. If that's their style, that's fine. But then if there are other speakers that just want to interact, like I said, with the audience and move about, because I've seen some speakers that will turn flips and do magic. And that's what an audience is looking for, because they want it to be fun and entertaining.
The best speaker reel in the world will have a clear story. Our brains do not want to burn calories. We want to conserve energy as much as possible. And most speaker reels have so much going on and try to pack so much into it that they don't tell one clear story. Right. And the secret is you have to, in the first 30 seconds, show the problem that you solve and your solution to it. If you get those first 30 seconds to a minute right, people will go, oh, that speaker speaks about this and is for us. And most people spend that first minute talking all about themselves. The actual first thing that you need to do for the first 15 to 20 seconds is actually define the problem that you solve and the solution to it. And so the best thing any speaker reel can do is tell a complete story.
Do you tend to do that through audio description or speaking about the problem, or just with titles and subtitles and things like that?
Yeah, that's what's so helpful for everyone is that if I can just share that every time we create a speaker reel, we create 5 movements. And so the first one is the problem and the solution. The second is insight. Most people, you're talking with bureau owners for years, event planners, people who have watched speaker reels, most people want to know why they're having the problem they're having. And if you can give them insight into it, man, they love it. The brain loves it. And at that point, the video then starts telling them why you're uniquely qualified to solve it. And at that exact moment, there's a part in every keynote, and you can look at your keynote and you can find it where you say something like this. So what do we do about that? Or you say, so where do we go from here? Or you say, so if that's the problem, the real question is, how do you solve it? And there's some little moment at that moment in every video, we drop the music out and we let the brain go, oh, they're going to teach us something. And you move into the fourth movement, which is teaching. Now there's sound clips and they're teaching. They're practical things that you can do, that you can start improving. Just like every event planner says to you, I want practical, tactical solutions, right? That's the part to put them. But every single time you put it, you have them say something that's practical, and then you add a social proof, which is just a written testimonial. You take all your written testimonials, you find 3 words in each. And it's incredible when you do this combination of, so what do we do about it? This was phenomenal. Sound clip where you're actually telling them something to do. This was incredible. Sound clip where you're showing them what to do. They were amazing. They do not need to be long written out testimonials, just few words mixed with the right combination of you saying, here's the steps you take. You're in that sweet spot. And then the 5th part is simply results. There's some point in your keynote where you describe how things are going to be different. That's the very end point. And if you combine how things are going to be different with social proof, people saying this was incredible, and you in different spots and people saying this is a person who's done this all over, they're the one we want to go with. Those 5 movements: problem and your solution, insight to it, your credibility, the teaching you provide, and the results you create. You go and look at the 600 plus speaker reels we've created. Although they all look different, every single one of them follows that formula. And it's the formula that literally makes people say yes to you over someone else.
And how long do you, with all the 600, what's the sort of average sweet spot that you see that works from what you hear from other speakers with how long that demo reel should be?
A bureau will tell you today that I need 2 good minutes. People will make decisions on 2 minutes. When we look at the actual analytics on hundreds and hundreds of videos, we watch that almost nobody watches past 2 minutes and 21 seconds. So we like to have the sweet spot be somewhere around 2:45 to 3. But here's the difference is there's a lot of times where someone's going to watch it the first time. And then the second time, if they're going to try to make a decision on you, they're going to watch it longer. And so it's not about the exact right length. It's about the movements that you get right, because a lot of our current videos are around 5-6 minutes, but we know no one's going to watch that full length at the beginning. But maybe when they're making that second decision with the group, or that final, hey, it's between these 3, let's watch the whole video and really determine which one we want. That's where that length starts to actually distinguish you. And so it's less about the length and more about what are the movements. Because if in 2 minutes, I can make them really clear about your problem, your solution to it, impress just the heck out of them, and then specifically give them some steps to start following, they're going to say, this is a person we should consider and put you on the short list. They'll probably come back to it later. So it's all about, do you have the right stuff early on to solve the problem? And then you can make it longer. But 2 minutes and 21 seconds is, by that point, most people are going to stop watching the video.
Let's do a quick recap then, based on their expert advice. It's so often that I do these shows with 3 key takeaways, but today's your lucky day. Here are 14 gold nuggets to think about investing in with your speaker preview videos and demo reels. Number 1, energy, energy, energy. Meredith reminds us to show that energy. That's so true. We've all seen some reels that didn't have enough energy, if any energy at all. No one hires you to bore them into a nap. She reminds us that it's good to have humor, position ourselves correctly as experts, and have a couple of testimonials, but you got to be authentic. Number 2, context. Lois reminds us about opening with a positioning statement. It sets the tone as well. It's most often people don't know who you are, who you work with, the problems you solve, or the results you help them deliver. Lois is right about providing the context and connecting those stories. And make certain to have a call to action at the end. Make the ask and don't leave your video without it. Number 3, Tim reminds us that it's got to be authentically you to connect with you. They don't just need your fluff. They need to see who you really are on stage and get honest feedback on your videos, not just what friends think. And Matt reminds us that it's got to have heart. Videos can be many things, but they need to touch on that emotional connection that makes you relatable. It helps them accept you and know, like, and trust you. Then RK3 reminds us to consider the music, and that is so true. Setting your best stuff to good music, really good music, really can set the tone of the video. Michelle reminds us that meeting planners need to see you speaking. Splashy is great. Those jump cuts look great, but often you'll make more waves with just simpler, longer clips. And longer doesn't mean minutes and minutes and minutes. It's relative. And it's often that adding 10 or 20 seconds more is enough to show you other than just the string of 2-second one-liners throughout a video. Sylvie had a great framework. Hook me, show me, prove me, sell me. Love this formula in so many ways. Then I loved Deja's point in that we talk about the video part all day, but she reminds us to have great audio. They want to see you, but they must also have clear audio and hear you speak. And follow that with a wow and how what you speak on shows in it for them, the audience. Then sell them on experience. I love Clint's video because he's a very successful speaker using a video format that goes beyond what a lot of others do. It doesn't have as much time on stage talking as, say, others. It doesn't fit the best practices, but he reminds us to take them on a ride and let them see and experience. It's a good P.T. Barnum reference. You must see this to believe it. It must be incredible and make them want to buy a ticket to your show and to see you speak. Leave them wanting more. Richard reminds us that, and I love this, in that you don't want it to be too long. Time is precious for those watching many videos, and it can be a separate video that's not necessarily the preview that sizzles. And I love too, when we spoke about thinking about these like a movie trailer. To stay with that concept, make sure that they know after your preview demo reel that they know that if it's a comedy, a drama, a rom-com, action, horror, well, hopefully your demo is not a horror one, but does it truly convey what you speak about so that the audience and meeting planners buy the right ticket to the right movie? And does it truly show your speaking style? It's got to show up in the video and show engagement. Shannon reminds us that they need to be quick in that this may be your baby, but they see so many babies and very few are so captivating. It's just the nature of today. It's not always a speed question, but speed is often captured by captivating with some pizzazz. Pizzazz can come in so many different flavors. There's a place in an audience for everyone, but will their audience pay attention to you? Do they see your passion? Pizzazz makes a video seem quicker too when they see your passion. Grant reminds us to show yourself speaking in a lot of environments. Also, keep your videos up to date. There's a shelf life to all of these. I remind speakers too, not to name your reel with the year, which of course I'm guilty of in the past as well. It may timestamp it in a bad way for what you think is evergreen content, but now we think about as Betamax or VHS quality. James reminds us how helpful it is to be interactive with the audience because they want us to be fun and entertaining. So whether you do hula hoops, cartwheels, kung fu, a trust fall, or just stand on stage, think about making it more interactive and let's see that audience smile with what you do. And then Chris tells a great truth about telling a story. They, in their own company, do that through movements to create insights into how you help solve the audience's problems. They do that through 5 moments with problem and solution, insight into it, credibility, the teaching you provide, and the results you create. One more consideration, and this last consideration is keeping it short. We're in a short form video world. That doesn't mean making everything 2 minutes or less, but you have to consider that meeting planners are not sitting down with popcorn to watch hours and hours of a big show of demo reels. They have to look through a lot of videos. But if every one of them was 5 minutes long, then at most, they would only get to see about 12 in 1 hour, and they look at many more than that. So start thinking about putting it in a context that people want to see in a quicker, fast-paced world. So many smart folks here with great advice, and now it's time to go take a new look at your own demo reel. And hopefully some of this advice will remind you not of bad best practices, but those that actually help speakers get the gig. Friends, make sure to join us at Speakernomics.com and let your voice be heard. I'm Kenneth Kinney, your host of the National Speakers Association's podcast, Speakernomics, and this has been another fantastic episode of the show. Thank you for the privilege of your time. And remember, Speakernomics is the podcast where you'll learn to speak, get paid, repeat.
Attention all professional speakers. Are you ready to elevate your career? Join us at Influence 2024, the premier event of the National Speakers Association, happening this August 3rd through the 6th at the Gaylord Rockies Resort in Denver, Colorado. Connect with industry leaders, master your craft, and discover cutting-edge strategies to grow your influence and your speaking business. Now, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this event is designed for you. Now, don't miss out on this transformative experience and register now and be a part of something extraordinary. Register at influence24.nsaspeaker.org.